Good morning, it's Sandy Wiley, and I'm going to talk about Dr. Richard Geist, again, my former psychologist, and why his way of doing therapy is unethical and doesn't work. And yesterday's video was about how he set a fire in his office with a 14-year-old boy, and how the fire department had to come because of all of the smoke. And I sent you the link to that video in the exact spot so you can see it yourself. Well, today I'm going to continue on with that theme and to another spot in that video, and I'll put the link to that video again and the exact spot to where I'm quoting him, so you'll be able to jump right to that. So this is from Lynn Prescott's Therapy Matters interview with Dr. Richard Geist, and this was done 5 years ago. And quoting him at the 48-minute 4-second spot, he says, deep understanding also was something that could be used in place of limit setting, so that there didn't have to be boundaries that were imposed from above from the psychoanalytical police. Now, what I'm doing is kind of dissecting what that's saying, okay? So he's saying if you deeply understand your patient, you could use that in place of setting any limits, so you don't need to have any boundaries, so that there is no policing. What's wrong with that? Well, there's many things wrong with it, and I'm going to tear that apart, and I'm going to tell you why that doesn't work, and I'm going to tell you how that harms the patient, because patients need clear, consistent boundaries, okay? Think of the world. If there was no laws, right, and there was no policing out in the world, what would happen? There would be total mayhem and madness. It would be catastrophic. The world is bad enough with policing and with laws because people break them. But imagine if there were none. There were no limits. Imagine a child growing up with no limits. That child would grow up to be narcissistic and think that whatever they wanted, they could get it with the snap of their finger. They would expect people to jump to their tune because they grew up with no limits and no boundaries. So this is his approach to doing therapy. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Deep understanding also was something that could be used in place of limit setting, in place of, so that there didn't have to be boundaries that were imposed from above from the psychoanalytical police. No policing, no boundaries, no limits. Watch it so you can hear him say it for yourself. I'm quoting this. I wrote this down word for word. All right. That's how he conducted therapy, all right, with no limits. When I first saw him in 2005, you could call him any hour of the day and night, on weekends, on vacations. No limits, no boundaries. You could sit on his lap, crawl all over him, touch any part of his body, was fine. No limits, no boundaries, no policing. Now, the thing about that is, he couldn't maintain it. He had to set limits and boundaries because he could not maintain this. Do you think anyone else out there, if you were a parent and you set no limits or boundaries with your child, do you think that you would be able to maintain it? It would be too much for you. If the child wanted something and you did whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted it, right? Mommy, wake up, wake up. It's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and you got to wake up at 5 o'clock to go to work. I want you to read me a story. Okay, dear, if your wish is my command. Do you see? Eventually, that would tear down, erode at the person, and that's why he burned out. And then he had to set limits, and then he had to set boundaries. So his way of doing therapy didn't work for him. So here's where he is a hypocrite. He's getting on her YouTube channel, being interviewed, telling her that as long as I understand my patient, I don't have to set any limits or boundaries. I don't have to police my patient at all. And I'm telling you, as a patient of his for 16 years, he's a hypocrite and he's a liar. Because he did have to set limits. He did have to set boundaries. Why? Because he couldn't do therapy in the way that he was suggesting to do therapy to Lynn Prescott. He couldn't do it. He could not maintain. He got burnt out, and then he had to withdraw. Now, when a psychologist withdraws something, like a parent, okay, especially for a child, and especially for a borderline patient like myself, there's a deep sense of abandonment, all right, because you're taking something away. Anytime you take something away, someone's going to feel abandoned, or they're going to feel like you don't care anymore. If you, like for instance, have you ever had a boyfriend, call you every day and or text you and say, I love you, hun, and then all of a sudden days go by and the guy doesn't call, or your boyfriend doesn't text anymore? Doesn't something feel missing? Don't you worry what happened? He didn't text me today. He didn't call me. You start worrying. This is what happened to me. Now, I'm in a professional relationship with him where he's the doctor, do no harm. He takes a Hippocratic oath. But he did intense harm. Because what he did is he allowed anything to happen in the beginning of treatment, burnt out, and got, and shamed me, saying I was too intense. I wanted too much attention. I was too demanding. Okay? He shamed and belittled me for something he put in place in the beginning of treatment. So not only is he a hypocrite and a liar, but then he blames the patient, me, when his method of doing therapy with no limits and no boundaries backfires right in his face. He shames me. So now I feel shamed, I feel belittled. All the trauma I experienced in my childhood has resurfaced. You see what happened? That's why I'm coming here. I only have an associate degree in early childhood education from a community college. This man is a doctor degree, Dr. Richard Geist from Harvard University, one of the top in the country. Okay? He also teaches. That's the scary part. He teaches this stuff. What is he teaching to people? Oh my God. I'm coming to you humbly as a person who is a patient of his, who was for 16 years. I ended the treatment for good in 2021, okay, in the summer. But I'm just coming to you as a patient. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I have no degree in psychology. But I'm telling you what he's saying doesn't work, okay? And it didn't work for him. And he's a hypocrite and he's a liar. Because this type of therapy where there's no limits and no boundaries, someone can't maintain it. Even if he thought it was great, which it isn't. Everyone needs some limits. Imagine if I didn't have any, boundary is your personal space. Imagine if I didn't have any boundaries or limits myself. I could let any man rape me, walk all over me. I could let girlfriends walk in my house any time of the day or night, because hey, I don't have any limits or boundaries. You want to visit me? and I'm eating dinner, or I'm trying to do a video for my YouTube or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs limits. Everybody needs boundaries. That's what separates me, my own identity in person, from you, your own identity in person. There needs to be that healthy separation. Otherwise, you become a doormat. Okay? You become a doormat that people walk over all the time without the limits or boundaries. Everyone needs, not just in a therapy relationship, everyone needs good limits and good boundary settings, or you will become a doormat and people will walk all over you. You let them do whatever they want. And even when you do let them do whatever they want, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because you can't maintain it. It's not human. You cannot maintain it. You cannot maintain that kind of role where there's no limit setting. Think of a mother and a child, right? The analogy I used. The child wants to be read a story. The child wakes up in the middle of the night and can't sleep. Read me a story, read me a story. The mother has to wake up very early to go to work the next morning. You have to set limits. Mommy read you a story before you went to bed. Okay? Mommy will read you another story when she gets home from work tomorrow. Okay? Let me get you some water and give you a kiss and you try to get some sleep. But if mommy said, oh, what the hell, no limit setting, no nothing, the child will walk all over her. Okay? There's no parenting. And then you grow a child up to be narcissistic. Look at what you're producing. They'll go out in the world and they'll think that's how the world is. That's why none of his patients ever get better. Because they go out in the world and they expect the world to bow down to them. That's not how it works. This type of therapy doesn't work. I don't even call it therapy, really. I've went to other therapists who told me what he does. One therapist said, I don't know what he was doing, but it wasn't therapy. And he was right. What he's doing is not therapy. What he's doing is whatever you want, whatever the patient wants, and taking all their money. And they're happy because they get to do what they want. But then he can't maintain it like with me. And he burns out because no one could. Anyone who try it. Try it and see if you don't burn out. Have no boundaries or limits with people in your life, with your friends, with your children. Right? With your boss at work. You want that done? Good. You want this done? Good. You want me to stay till 11 o'clock tonight? Fine. Do it. Have no limits and boundaries with people in your life. See how far you get. You'll never be able to maintain it. You'll have a nervous breakdown and land in the hospital because it's not human. You can't maintain that. But what's worse with me is what he did was shamed me for his mistake. He shamed and he blamed me for being too much. And that's what is devastating. And that's why I'm on a mission to enlighten people here as a product of his gross negligence. That's how I see myself. I see myself as a product of his gross negligence. And that's why I come on and do these videos. I also do my karaoke videos. I know people like that. But that's why I, on LinkedIn, I write these newsletters and do this. Because I want to educate other professionals that this, method of therapy is wrong and it fails. You set yourself up for failure. It fails you as a professional and it fails the patient. It doesn't work. Everyone needs laws. There needs to be police out there. There needs to be boundary setting. There needs to be limits in every relationship. Every relationship needs. Think of when I go on the internet. I have guys all the time wanting to hook up with me. I draw the line. No, I'm married. I'm not interested in any men in any manner or form. I'm just going to put that out there to you now because there's some guys that keep harassing me. They keep sending me instant messages. I'm on the internet because I'm on a mission to prove how, therapy can ruin your life. I'm out to set examples, concrete examples, okay, to give to you to better educate patients that go into therapy very vulnerable and are easy targets, right? Like me, I was a very easy target. I was very naive. I was very vulnerable. I was an easy target for him to manipulate and hurt. I'm not on, the internet to hook up or chat with guys. So if you keep bothering me enough, guess what? I block you. One person kept following me from all my from Instagram. He kept saying, "Oh, talk to me," to Twitter, to YouTube. I mean, he kept following me all over, wanting me to talk to him. Guess what? That's not why I'm on the internet. That's not my purpose at all. So I hope that, I've, driven a point home to you guys, and I hope that from watching that and to listening to this video that you understand that it's healthy. Everyone needs to set boundaries and limits. Okay, take care.